Welcome everyone. My name is Stella, and thank you for tuning into Bibi and Yaya, where you will hear real-life stories every week, which people have sent to us, detailing their life experiences, feelings, emotions, and reactions along the way. Today we have a story which comes to us from Tony. He is a landlord and having troubles with one of his tenants, who doesn't seem to be able to pay his rent on a regular basis and in a timely fashion. What are the causes and the lapses in sending in his rental payments? We shall discover the issues in Tony's letter. Tony bides his time and tries to work with this particular tenant to be compensated for his rental property, but to no avail. How does Tony respond to his tenant not paying the rent? And what does Tony finally realize at the end of his letter? We will get to Tony's letter in just a moment, but please note that the people who write into us share their stories in hopes of connecting with others who may be able to give advice, comments, and opinions such as yourself. You may have just the right solution to today's personal life story. Here on Bibi and Yaya, we will also share our thoughts and opinions with the hopes that we can help those who share their stories with us. If you have a story to tell, please send us an email by using the email provided in the description box below. And by hitting the thumbs up button, sharing, and subscribing to this channel, you can stay up to date with these very personal stories. This helps us to bring you new life stories and adventures every week so you don't miss a thing. Also, you may hear a story here on Bibi and Yaya which resonates with your life. If so, you can read what other people have posted to help you with your own personal situation. These personal stories are real, and people need advice. You have the opportunity to help them with your own comments or solutions. And now, let's hear from Tony. Dear Stella, I lent money to a tenant who was neither a friend nor family member. The guy was younger, whom I believed to be around 23 years old. He had moved from somewhere south up to the Washington, D.C. area. He was under a manager training program contract with his work, and I believe he was misinformed about his potential compensation. When I had him checked out in the application period, he seemed fine enough, and the rent required wasn't all that much. He was going to be paying around $950 a month for one bedroom in a shared unit. He had his first month's rent and a security deposit, so things were off to a good start. It was a two-bedroom unit in which he was splitting with an existing tenant who was paying 2/3 of the total rent as she had a much larger space. Anyway, it started out well and the money was coming in as usual for the first 3 months. Then on month 4, I received only one check from the female tenant. So I sent an email to him to see what had happened, and he said he would get it to me. He said he didn't get paid that day and the check to his account was delayed. I said, okay, just get it by the middle of next week, assuming it would take a couple of days for the bank transfer to work out. A couple of days came and went, and still no money. I reached out again, and he said he was going to send the money next week. He got into a car accident and needed to sort that out. I realized this wasn't my problem, but I felt sorry for the guy and said, okay, just get me the money next week. That week came and went as well. Still no money. We then approached the next month, and again I received a check only from the female. So now I was down $950 times 2, and $1,900 isn't exactly life-changing, but it's not small change either. So I reached out to him again and said, you have missed rent from last month and this month is due as well. You are now down $1,900. What is happening? He responded that he was going to be getting a promotion as he was finishing his program, but it hadn't happened yet. As soon as it did, he would pay the money. The reason he hadn't settled up yet was because his 3-year-old son was sick and needed treatment. He also needed a new bed. I didn't know he had a son. I suppose it wasn't my business. So I said, okay, I need you to start making payments though, or we are going to have to start the eviction process. I don't want to kick you out, but I can't take another $950 hit. Would you believe it? He missed another check. I'm now down $950 times 3, which equals $2,850. This was the last straw. I didn't go for the eviction earlier because I was being nice, I suppose. I had a discussion with the guy and discovered the issue. Not only did he have child support due in addition to another sick child and a totaled car, but he was also fired from his job for lack of performance. So much for that promotion. I decided to sit down with him and try to impart some wisdom upon him. I told him that he would be evicted, which he knew and he was okay with. He said he was sorry, but thought that it was going to work out. He wanted to get on a payment plan to pay me back. He said I did him a huge favor letting him live in the place and he never wanted to not make the payments. But he was under so much stress with his kids in a different location and the car and the job. It was all really just too much for him at the age of 23. I said, well, look, you are already into some serious issues and I don't want to make life worse for you with legal action, but we need to sort this out. So we came up with a payment plan and I generously told him I will give him 15 months to make all of the payments. To this day, I have no idea why 15 months. But that's what I said. So we drafted a note and both signed it that he would pay back $2,850 within 15 months. I was shocked that on month 1 he sent $500. I was now down only $2,350. On month 2, he sent $300. Yikes! I was now down only $2,050. On month 3, can you guess what he sent? If you think $100, you are wrong. He sent $500. Things were really looking good. I was now down only $1,550. With the last payment, he said he had moved to a new place, sold his car, and had a new job. He was back near his kids and figured out how to make his life work. Then month 4 came. Nothing was sent. During months 5 through 7, nothing again. On month 8, I was losing hope, but he did send in $50. I was now down $1,500. That was the last money I received and the last contact I've had from him. Months 9 through 15, 0 funds were received. I initially reached out 2 more times telling him to honor the agreement. However, I eventually lost taste for it. I concluded that $1,500 to him was probably a lot more than it was to me. I also knew that it would cost a whole lot more to even try and recover the funds. Even with a favorable verdict, payment wasn't guaranteed, so I just decided to let it go. I sent him one last email and said, based on the lack of correspondence, I understand you have decided not to honor your word. I understand this and can accept it. This is probably the only situation in life where you will get away with this. Think long and hard going forward before you make a commitment, and always have a strategy for how you plan to completely execute the agreement. It's how you finish the contract, not how you start it. Good luck in your life. Take care of your boys and teach them better. When I think back on it, I see a couple of lessons to learn. Number 1, enforce the contract sooner and don't wait. Number 2, evaluate the candidate better and require a higher premium for renting. At the time, I only charged a half-month security deposit. I started to think about what it must have felt like to be that person. He had his world crumbling around him, and here was this person hounding him for funds. While yes, I agree it is part of life, and he should have honored the commitment, I also see the other side. Imagine if your life went to total hell in a day. Your kid has issues, your car breaks down, you get fired. Now imagine someone coming to kick in your door to take your belongings and shake your core because of a few $1,000s. Kind of what's happening during 2020 and 2021. Life is more important than money. Sure, it takes money to get along, but it isn't everything. Looking back at the situation, I almost wish I told him on month 2 to just finish out the month and then leave. The money wouldn't be due. Go get your life straightened out and consider this your last free ride towards manhood. That's what I should have said to him. With all of that said, I have a similar thought to the rest of you. For my family, I would lend whatever they needed. They are my support crew, and if you can't be there for your family, who can you be there for? When it comes to my closest friends, I would lend them what they needed, mostly because they don't need it anyway. However, if they did and it was a life and death situation, how could I cast them out? Who knows? Maybe someday I would be the one needing money. You can't take it with you. So long as you have enough for yourself and your family, that's what matters most. There is nothing wrong with sharing with others to help them on their way. Sure, if they abuse the issue, maybe I would change my tune, but so long as it is a genuine need and not just a cash grab, why not help the ones you love? Heck, I gave $1,500 to a stranger. This story from Tony was a very generous one because of Tony's actions. He forgave the tenant for not paying the full amount of the rent and was able to see the larger picture rather than just seeing the amount of money he was losing. Despite this loss, Tony put himself in this other man's shoes and asked himself some very tough questions. Could this possibly happen to me one day? How would I handle losing my job? What if I had car problems and 2 sick children and someone hounding me for rent? Tony was actually able to see the other side of the situation. Even though Tony never took any other actions to recoup his lost money, the tenant should have realized before signing a lease exactly how much he would be expected to pay. And also, the tenant who eventually did get another job should have absolutely paid Tony in full the amount he owed Tony, even if it was a small amount each month. We must not at all take advantage of anyone's generosity, and in my opinion, this tenant did so with Tony. But Tony had the last word, and it was he who decided to forgive the debt. Thank you, Tony, for sharing your story with us, and we wish you all the best. Perhaps you may have the right solution or best advice for Tony. If so, we would like to hear from you, and you can read other people's comments, solutions, and opinions below relating to this and other real-life situations. They could very well mirror your own thoughts, or they could be quite different from yours. Remember that by liking and subscribing to Bibi and Yaya, you will hear me read letters every week which people send us about issues they are dealing with in their own lives. These are real-life personal stories and people's everyday experiences. And don't forget, if you have a personal story or issue which you would like to share with us, please send us an email using the email provided in the description box below. We would be happy to hear from you and offer any advice on how to deal or cope with your personal experience. We thank you for joining us here today on Bibi and Yaya. See you next time.